We welcome you to 12th Man Studios in the south end zone of Kyle Field. I'm Will Johnson, and this is the season premiere of The Beat. All spring long, 12th Man Productions will cover the Aggies from every angle. We'll keep you up to date on this program. And we start with the beginning of an era in Aggieland. On January 11th, Scott Woodward was announced as the new Director of Athletics at Texas A&M University. He comes from Washington. After he was unveiled to the public, he paid us a visit for a sit-down. You're a Louisiana State University grad. Is it nice to be back in the Southeastern Conference?
Yeah, it really is. It's great to be back in this part of the world, and it's more importantly, it's great to be at such an incredible institution, as I mentioned earlier in my press conference. Just an academic institution that is excellent, that seeks excellence, and in an athletic department that's in the best conference in America and wants to compete at the highest level. It's really invigorating.
And when you do hit the ground running, if you think about your first 2-3 months on the job, what are you looking closely at? What's important to you?
Yeah, it's mainly to do a lot of listening and to find out what's happening. There's not a lot broken here. It's, as I mentioned again, at the press conference, I'm stealing the Hippocratic Oath from the doctors that, you know, first do no harm, and that is an important part of what I do and how I assess, because the traditions and the special things at this place don't need to be fixed, and that's what's so great about it. So it's for me to do a lot of listening and to do a lot of evaluating to see what we can do to give our student athletes an even better experience and to do great things and continue to do great things.
Your tenure at Washington was almost 8 years before arriving at Texas A&M. Have you had some staples you clung to, or some philosophies that you've always run an athletics department with?
Not really. You know, you have your principles, you have your core values of what you do and who you are, and those stick with me. But it's knowing your environment. College Station's a lot different than Seattle, and you know, you have to understand that, and you have to know that going in. But for the most part, it's you know, letting people do what they do well and empowering them to do great things, and that's mainly my philosophy, is to really delegate and expect and demand performance and greatness.
And you mentioned empowering there. If you think about the individual student athlete, whether it be on the football team, the women's golf team, any of the student athletes here at Texas A&M, what does the individual need mostly as far as resources to meet their expectations, be the best they can be?
It's not just one certain thing. It has to be everything. It has to be academic support, because they're students first in the term student athlete. And so we have to give them the best academic support that they can give so they can be successful in the classroom and successful for the rest of their lives. And then we have to do what we can do to compete at the highest level in whatever we do, and whatever sport we do that in. And that is whether it's nutrition, whether it's medical care, medical help, training room, weight room, and coaching. And all of that is of equal importance, and you just have to have it at the best and the highest level.
We are sitting down with the new Director of Athletics at Texas A&M University, and that is Mr. Scott Woodward. When we come back, more with the new AD. This portion of The Beat is brought to you by ASCO, your place for case construction equipment in Texas. Welcome back to 12th Man Studios and the season premiere of The Beat. We are sitting down with new Director of Athletics at Texas A&M, Mr. Scott Woodward. Here is part 2 of that conversation. Your first year as a Director of Athletics at the University of Washington, you immediately endured an 0-12 football season and a budget shortfall within the athletics department. I take a look at the Huskies now, football-wise, 6 consecutive winning seasons and bowl games. Contributions and donations to the University of Washington athletics has over doubled. What made you believe in that first year you could take the Huskies to where they are today?
naivete and ignorance. You know, I didn't know better.
That's as good as belief.
It was, and it was a testament to the people of University of Washington. It's a special place, and those folks had great tradition, and they believe. But you know, I ran my head against the wall a number of times trying to build that stadium and trying to get that program back to winning ways. And be honest with you, I just didn't know better.
Well, I think about your past fall Saturdays. They were spent in the gorgeous new Husky Stadium looking out over Lake Washington. Now they'll be amid a sea of 12th man tiles here at Kyle Field. But at a school like Washington, at A&M, what role does football play when it comes to a healthy and comprehensive athletics department?
Yeah, it's part of the fabric of all great universities that bring people together. It's that common bond. And that's what President Young and I always talked about in a way that makes a university great, is that we want to be additive. You know, we don't want to be a football university that happens to have, you know, classrooms and classes. We want to be a great university and a great program of athletics. And that weaves and brings, you know, this Aggie land and these 12 men together, and just it makes it such an important thing that we do. And I'm telling you, as a graduate, you know it, and it's just so important. And all great universities, especially these ones that have a big public mission, teaching a lot of first-generation people, is that football's their first way in. You know, you walk into Kyle Field when you're 3 or 4 years old, and you look up, and whether that person's parents went to Texas A&M University or not, there's aspirations like, I want you to go here. Right. I want you to be part of this. Mm-hmm. And that is the mission that President Young and I believe in, that makes states great, and Texas, I know, is all in from that standpoint, and that's what gives me chill bumps when you see that, because you can see it. You know, you can see that, you know, these people want to be part of something special.
Well, have you thought about your first football game at Kyle Field? Because you know it's against the Pac-12's UCLA Bruins on September 3rd here in College Station.
Yeah.
That'll be special for you.
Oh, it'll be fun, absolutely. I'll be looking for victory, that's for sure.
No doubt. Finally, overall, what are your expectations at Texas A&M?
My expectations are to do things at the highest level, the same as President Young's. It's our same philosophy. I had an old boss that used to say we want to be great in physics and football, and that's my goal here. I want to be as good as we can possibly be in everything that we compete in, and we're going to try to do it, and we're going to give it all of our best effort to get there.
Well, we certainly thank you so much for the time. Congratulations. Welcome to Texas A&M University.
Much, Will. Appreciate it.
Our new Director of Athletics at Texas A&M, Mr. Scott Woodward. This portion of the beat is brought to you by Memorial Hermann, official sports medicine partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Welcome back. We roll along on this season premiere of The Beat. It is time now to check in with Billy Kennedy and Aggie men's hoops. Entering the campaign, they were staring at a daunting non-conference schedule. Over Thanksgiving, they went to the Bahamas and picked up 2 quality wins over Texas and Gonzaga. Back home just before Christmas, victories over Kansas State and Baylor arrived. Then the calendar transitioned into a new year, and it was time for the Aggies to turn it on for SEC play. The Aggies are off to their best conference start since the 1980s. League play got underway in the friendly confines of Reed Arena versus the Arkansas Razorbacks just after the new year on January 2nd. This one was never a contest. The Ags worked up a comfortable double-digit lead by halftime. A&M would go on to win by a final count of 92-69, led by a 28-point effort from senior JALEN Jones. A couple of road games were next. In this league, no road contest is ever easy. It doesn't matter who you're up against. Under new head coach Ben Howland, Mississippi State would employ a zone defense that gave A&M fits. A&M was down early, but fought their way back to a lead by the break. Back and forth this game went during the second half. A layup by Jalen Jones and some clutch free throws would see off the Bulldogs.
We got to give our hats off to Mississippi State. They played really tough. Their zone was a lot more active than it has been in the past. But I think we did a really good job of staying the course and working the game plan as much as we could. We got good shots in the beginning of the game. We just didn't make them. Defense held us in the first half. And then after that, we ended up making enough plays to come out with a win.
Moving to the weekend, on January 9th, the Aggs were in Knoxville, Tennessee for a bout against another new head coach to the league, but an old foe in Rick Barnes, who's now in charge of the Vols. This one was an interesting matchup coming in. The Volunteers employed a starting lineup with no one over 6'5". On the night, the Volunteers couldn't miss. Neither could the Aggies. Tennessee would go on a run, but A&M would come right back with big baskets from senior leaders. The experience on this team would be the difference. A&M never led throughout the entire game until late in the second, when Anthony Collins found Tyler Davis for the go-ahead layup. A&M would not look back. Another road win is in the books. Aggies 92, Vols 88, the final. Billy Donovan left Florida in the offseason. In for him came Michael White from Louisiana Tech, who had knocked A&M out of the NIT last postseason. Back at home, the Aggies had a statement to make. Another close game was in store. Both teams played well. A&M was led by 26 points from Jalen Jones and 22 from Daniel House. These two were too much for the Gators to handle. Florida would surge late. They had a chance to tie it in the end, but the shot fell short, and the Aggies escaped with another conference victory. Since the first game, though, versus Arkansas, A&M had not played up to their standards. It was back to the basics this Saturday in Athens with defense as A&M again traveled east to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. A&M hadn't beat Georgia as of yet as a member of the SEC, going 0-4 against the Bulldogs. This trend would end emphatically. Texas A&M put together one of their most dominant performances on the year. 9 Aggies scored, and 6 of them had at least 9 points. A 15-point halftime lead would expand to 34 by the final horn. It broke the school record for margin of victory on the road versus a conference foe.
Anytime you get a road victory in conference play, it feels tremendous. Just got to give a lot of credit to my team. They went out there and they played hard, and just glad we came out with a victory tonight.
Defensively, we couldn't play any better. I thought we took away and executed the scouting report as well as we could defensively, and when you're making shots, and it refuels your defense, and we played about as well as we could play since all season. And I thought we would start playing better. Didn't think we played as well the last couple of games.
So the Aggies stood with a 5-0 conference record heading into a Tuesday night tilt at Reed Arena with LSU. Texas A&M off and running this hoop season and possibly the class of the SEC. Yeah. You don't have to wait long to catch the Aggies at home again inside Reed Arena on Saturday. They host the Missouri Tigers. Conference play continues. Tip time between A&M and Mizzou is 3 p.m. Hope to see you there. Back with more in just a moment. We return inside 12th Man Studios. You saw what was happening with Billy Kennedy and that men's basketball team. They are playing very well already in 2016. Now let's check in with some other sports. On the docket, women's basketball, Aggie tennis, as well as track and field. Gary Blair and the Aggie women entered play last week at the 12-4 overall mark. They were 2-1 in the SEC. The Aggies sported a number 15 national ranking. Last Thursday, they thrashed the Rebels of Ole Miss. This one was simply no contest. A&M was up 40-18 at halftime. In the end, they went at 81-58. The Aggies shot 62%. Chelsea Jennings, dominant, 29 points. She got help from Courtney Walker's 17, and Walker added 9 rebounds as well, nearly a double-double.
I think my teammates did a great job of finding me. I had a couple open looks. I knew a lot of the attention would be on Courtney Walker, and that left me open, and luckily enough, I was able to knock them down.
On the road Sunday at number 2 South Carolina, what a basketball game. The lead changed hands 19 times, but A&M finds themselves down 6 with 2:30 to play. They whittle the Gamecock advantage down to 2. Then Jennings got a layup with just 1 second to play. Game is tied at 58, but amid the chaos following the basket, A&M fouled Carolina's Khadijah Sessions. She sinks 1 free throw with 0.9 seconds left. The Aggies fall 59-58. A&M is now 13-5 on the year. They're 3-2 in the SEC. They play host to Missouri Thursday night at Reed Arena. Tip-off is 7 p.m. Texas A&M track and field, a true national power, got moving indoors this weekend. Saturday, they hosted the Texas A&M 11-team invitational, and a freshman took center stage with a brilliant performance. Donovan Brazier made his Aggie debut and ran 145.93 in the 800 meters, making him the fastest American at the junior level in history.
Yeah, well, I thought the guys were going to be like right on my heels, but I looked at the camera over there, and I saw I had a little bit of space, so I wasn't so nervous. So I knew I kind of had it like the last lap.
He helped the Aggie men to the team title, easily besting second-place Texas. The Longhorns won the women's title. A&M was second.
It's good to see Texas back in the building. Good competitive situation, but you know, BYU was good today. Oklahoma State was good today. I mean, this was a really fine opening meet, and but yeah, it's nice to see them back in the building.
Finally, men's tennis opened their season with a doubleheader sweep of the Birds at the Mitchell Center on Sunday. The number 5 Aggies beat the UTSA Roadrunners 6-1 in the early match, then beat the Lamar Cardinals 7-0 later that evening. A&M tennis is back in action this weekend with matches at the Mitchell Center on Saturday and Sunday. Also keep this date in mind, February 19th. That is opening day for Texas A&M baseball. Preseason polls are already coming out, and Texas A&M seems to be a popular top 5 pick. We announced last week that season tickets are sold out, but toward the end of this month, you can pick up individual game tickets. That's all out at Olson Field at Bluebell Park starting on February 19th. Back in just a bit. We thank you for joining us on this season premiere of The Beat. Remember, we're here each week covering the Aggies from 12th Man Studios. See you on our next edition